How retirement planning is like farming. All right, I love this book. One of my favorite books. Days on the Family Farm by Carrie Meyer, who is my economics professor at George Mason. She sent this to me in 2007. Hey, hey, Josh. She wrote to me from George Mason. Thought I'd just go ahead and send you this. It's more focused on the Midwest, but I tried to also extend it to the history of agriculture overall. And it's quite a bit of U.S. history just to give it some content or context. Anyway, when I was a broker at Smith Barney, I tried to get Dr. Meyer, Carey, to come and do a talk at our local library in Virginia on this book, as a matter of fact, because it's just a wonderful, wonderful book. And you should get it on Amazon. I don't know how much it costs, $10, something like that. It's well worth your library. And this is back, like I said, 2007 is when she sent this to me. And it's been such a great read. And I'm doing work on my book, The Inflation Myth in Your Retirement Plan. How dare you say inflation's a myth? It's a myth relative to what you think it is. I'm just telling you. And I just came across this patch. I've read this book before a couple of times. I love historical fiction, but I also like anything that goes back pre-Depression. It just goes back pre-World War II. A lot of the fiction stuff, or not, well, a lot of historical fiction revolves around the World War II and Hitler. And that bores me. I don't care. I like the 1800s, frankly. The 1800s it's amazing to me. It's I don't know why. It just interests me to no end. But anything around the 1800s going into the stopping right before World War II, it just is incredibly interesting. And Dr. Meyer also has this book, A Letter from the Boys, Wisconsin World War I Soldiers Write Home. I haven't read this yet. I need to, but it's just part of my anti-library of all the books I got yet to read. I'm just looking at all these like, ugh. But the reason why retirement planning is like farming, I just want to share this passage with you. Pass the potatoes. Potatoes? Potatoes weren't an important market crop for May and Elmo. May and Elmo are our heroes of this book. It's not really there's not an anti-hero. It's just a protagonist. It's based. Let me just set the premise. May had written a diary, kept a diary of the farm in Rockford, Illinois. Is actually outside of Rockford, Illinois, going from the late 1800s all the way up until. All right, we're just looking real quick. All right, all the way up until when they basically died in mid 1940s. Anyway, it's every day she had a passage, and Carrie, what she did is she actually didn't just write the passage like what May's words were. She put it as part of a story. It's freaking fascinating. It's like you're literally living in the past, is what it's like, because you're reading what May writes relative to what Carrie is putting in the context. It's such a wonderful book. Anyway, so Pass the Potatoes. So May and Elmo, I think they lived across the street when they're young, and they got married and had a farm right outside Rockford, Illinois. I want to say Guilford, I think is what it's called. But they couldn't have kids, right? They didn't have kids, no, because May had a disease where she couldn't walk. I'm drawing a blank what it was. I'm going to show you a picture of May. And just look at that, man. Talk about a smoking lady. Look at that chick. My goodness, beautiful. Look at her. That's in 1896. And then when they got married, hold on just a second. I'll show it to you if I can find it. Yeah, right there. They get married. So Elmo is the guy right there, and that's May. And they got married in, I think, can't see what this is. 1901. All right. So that was 5 years. And then we see when May, I'm not going to be able to find it off the fly here. Let's see if we pause it. They are in that's 1942. It's so sentimental because you're seeing May in 1896, just a smoking hot girl, getting married to this guy Elmo, just having a great life, and 40 odd years later, 45 years later, here they are, they're just old people. That's all he got. I mean, he's like, I don't know how you can't look at that and say, yeah. And I'll relate this how it affects farming here in just a second, but I don't know how you don't look at that and say, your life here is short, man. I mean, it just. Remember, May can't walk. That's why. But I mean, our lives here are short. There's no time to waste. I mean, you got 40 years. You know, like the Jason Isbell song, When We Were Vampires, whatever it's called. I always refer back to that song. Let me see if I can't find the lyrics. All right, so here's a chorus. It's knowing that this can't go on forever. Likely one of us will have to spend some time alone. Maybe we'll get 40 years together, but one day I'll be gone. Or one day you'll be gone. Oh, yeah, 40 years together. Just like May and Elmo. Just like May and Elmo. Don't waste it, man. You don't have time to waste. Ugh, I know you can get caught up in the day. You're saying the day is dragging, the day is I'm just telling you. Don't lose your days. The days are so valuable. Don't lose them because of worry. You can't control outside world. God's going to reign supreme anyway. It doesn't matter what happens here. But you might as well enjoy it while you can the best you can, especially if you're married, you got grandkids. Oh. Anyway, so I'm going to read this. Passive potatoes. Potatoes were not an important market crop for May and Elmo. They never amounted more than 3% of their gross income. But they were important for the table. Elmo planted early potatoes, late potatoes, garden potatoes, and field potatoes. A good crop of potatoes brought a sigh of relief and the peace of a well-stocked cellar to last till the new potatoes came on in early summer. Huh, does that remind you of anything? If one ran short before that time, relatives or neighbors were happy to barter a few old potatoes in the spring. When too many were left over come spring, relatives and neighbors who ran low came calling, and the potatoes could still be sold in town for a good price. In the spring of 1910, however, Elmo had a hard time getting rid of the potatoes. Apparently, 1909 crop was good for everyone, and the 40 bushels he sold in that spring went cheap. Interesting. Average yields per acre barely budged on most Corn Belt crops from 1897 to 1935, but potatoes were an exception. As a result of improved varieties, potato yields across the U.S. increased from 81 bushels per acre at the turn of the century to 95 bushels per acre a decade later. In 1909 and 1910, Emily, I think that's May's mom, Emily and May both remarked on impressive potato yields. Starr, one of the people in the neighborhood, harvested 230 bushels from 1.5 acres in 1909. Elmo harvested 150 bushels from an acre, which is a significant improvement. But I just want to show you something. A good crop of potatoes brought a sigh of relief and the peace of a well-stocked cellar to last till the new potatoes came in. And then later on, they had so many potatoes, they had a hard time getting rid of the excess potatoes because the 1909 crop was good for everyone, and thus the 40 bushels went cheap. But again, a good crop of potatoes brought a sigh of relief because it could last as long as you harvested them. A good portfolio can bring a sigh of relief when you retirement as long as you harvest it. You see what I'm saying? You got to harvest some money. That's the whole thing about the barbell approach. You got to have some cash. You got to harvest it. If you don't harvest it, it could be gone just like that. We know this. You know this. Searching for growth at all costs. Once you're in retirement, you got to stop that crap, man. Harvest your potatoes. Put it in cash. It will give you a sigh of relief once the wintertime comes. You'll be like, man, I got potatoes down the basement. No matter what happens, I'm going to be fed until spring comes around. I harvested some cash. I put it in my savings account. I got some in my fireproof box. No matter what happens, I'll have enough to get by. Learn from the farmers when it comes to retirement plan. All right, love your thoughts. We'll see you